we were spending more than what we were earning. We have a negative net reserve. And the usual rule of thumb in the past was you should have at least an equivalent of 3 months of import cover. We now have more than 6 months.
In the 90s, interest rates were so high. Those in the pre-need industry were pricing our products based on very high interest rates, not expecting that interest rates would drop dramatically. Many of the once prestigious institutions have gone into liquidity problems because they failed to give as much attention to risk management. They were taking too much risk because of the short-term rewards that they were getting. We've been quite prudent in our risk-taking.
We learned from the 97 Asian crisis, and the most important lesson was not to be over-leveraged. You should invest in products that you understand. Well, our basic message is save so that you can take care of yourselves.
We try to have a very conservative balance sheet. We're willing to make investments that might take 5, 10 years to pay off. We find that often during difficult times that it's been fortunate to build businesses. I'm a believer that a rising tide lifts. I think foreign investment plays a critical role in uplifting the entire Filipino nation.
The recent global financial crisis has taught everybody a lesson. We cannot and we should not depend entirely on exporting our goods and services. We need to strengthen our domestic economy.
I think when you go back and you look at all these crises, you've got to start off and have a plan long term.
The first thing we worried about is to ensure that we have, I would call a liquidity moat that would protect the group from adverse pressure that could be created by the lack of bank credits, whether here or abroad. It's to any corporate interest that economic growth happens. It's good to raise the income levels of people because it helps our business. So to the extent that we can help the poor people in this country, we should do it because it helps you as well.
I think what is fueling the economy is the domestic consumption. We have a large domestic market.
We have been very conservative in terms of our practices. So we don't incur much debt. So our debt is very, very small, almost zero.
They were pleasantly surprised to find that we're not only cost competitive, our people were performing at levels of standards higher than those they were having in the developed countries.
2001 to 2006, our pace of growth was something like 46% a year. As of end of 2008, we recorded about $6.1 billion of export revenues. Talent really is the biggest asset of the country. Fortunately, this industry relies heavily on talent in order for it to grow. Many of these companies have the capability for more accounting services, legal services, medical services as well.
SMEs are our saving grace in the global crisis. 95% of our business is MSMEs. It is the largest employer in the entire country.
By focusing on our core businesses, I think we've been able to eliminate the poor performers and focus our time and effort into the performers. That's really the reason that we've been able to improve our return on capital.
We have jewels in the countryside. We have the Mayor of Bredos and the Mayor Jerry Treñas and Governor Padacas. One of the best economic teams we've assembled in recent years. Governor Tango and Secretary Teves are doing a beautiful job.
Passion. Passion is what got us started.
We have slowly but surely put in reforms that are contributing to the way the market is performing now. We were able to put in place all the Market Integrity Board that would watch over the market.
Philippines on top of mind because we have developed the retail partnership in the Philippines and it's very strong. If you have 2G, 3G, HSDPA, HSCPA, all those technologies, you don't have them in all the other ASEAN countries.
Pharmaceutical sector globally and also the Philippines is going through tremendous transformation and a lot of challenges. But we just have to adapt to the new reality.
I'm very happy to concede that government sometimes does the right things. I am particularly impressed with the work that the central bank has been doing. They have done a good job of keeping our financial system quite healthy.
The government has embarked into many skills training programs to answer for the unemployment that resulted from the global crisis. We have in TESDA a 3 billion scholarship fund to train displaced workers.
One of the greatest achievements of this administration
is the strengthening of our social security institutions. We have lengthened the actuarial life of the funds that we are managing. People have become more aware of the need to have pension funds available.
You get to hear it from the farmers themselves. It is now easier for them to bring their produce to the market, still fresh, and we continue to expand this.
During the crisis in '97, when you saw many other countries default on their obligations, the government has always honored its contracts. The fiscal position of the government has never been as good for a very long time.
We had a very difficult law that was approved, but it helped us in terms of being able to fund a number of our requirements, the expanded value-added tax. Our investment in infrastructure represents only about 2.7% of the gross domestic product. We need more power facilities, telecommunications, road, pier. Our airport has to be operational already.
And I think it's important that we see the world as an interconnected place. Being an advocate of less insularity and more engagement with the world. We must see ourselves as having a role within the ASEAN environment. We must be seen as a country that participates and helps. When we measure ourselves every year, when we look at our results as a country, we should measure ourselves to how other countries are doing rather than say we improve ourselves versus last year.
That obviously we will not drop our guard. This environment is going to remain for several more months. We have to continue to work towards strengthening our institutions, strengthening our economic base. Things turn around much faster.
Be ready. Things could change overnight. Be liquid, have a strong balance sheet. Where do we want to be after this crisis?
Deliver good quality education at an affordable cost to those segments of our society that need it the most. If we want to improve the quality of Philippine education, we have to focus on the teacher.
What should we be doing as a country? Focus on what we do the best. We are in demand worldwide in many services, medical, BPO, tourism, skilled workers. This is something that we're very good at. A crisis for somebody else becomes our opportunity.
There's a need for Philippine society to start looking at the strengths rather than the weaknesses.
The critical point is not that the Philippines will survive. How will it do afterwards? Can it actually grow much faster?
We are a resilient people, we are a resilient economy. We've proven that in '97. We're going to prove that this year. Survived 300 years of Spanish colonization, 50 years of American, 3 years of Japanese, and Marcos. We've survived all of those, and we continue to be a happy people, deep faith in the Filipino, and that is a good anchor.
There's a tendency for the Filipino to always try to see the positive side to things. There are times where one would think, what is the positive thing in this? Leave it to the Filipino to always find positive thing and what in a situation can be useful.
They were surprised that we can offer the same standards as a global fast food player.
In fact, our mall is much better than the mall in other countries.
I was to be the first woman, the first non-European to be elected president against candidates from Europe, the Americas, and Africa. And there are many other Filipinos who are recognized in their own field.
I find it an extraordinary gift that our nation has, where men and women really participate on many fronts as equals, and that has yet to happen in many other countries.
Our most important resource as a country is our people.
At the heart of a Filipino, there is empathy. So give them a task and they will do it no matter how long it takes.
Filipinos overseas would like to send their money here is they value education. They want really their children to have good education, no matter how difficult life is for them. One of the plus factors here in the Philippines is the extended family system.
The Filipino has a very emotional side when things are bad and difficult, sometimes a moment of great drama. But then there's that ability to, okay, let's move forward.
You know, I'm starting to really love the country, and I can only wish that this country succeeds. This is a new opportunity for Philippines to really go one step ahead.
You have the Boracay, Sagada, Baguio, Palawan, the sunset, the sunrise. You cannot duplicate this place.
Philippines is at the beginning of something big. There are fantastic opportunities for companies. If I wanted to put up a business anywhere in Asia, I would start in the Philippines.
I'm very optimistic about the future of our country.
But never underestimate the Philippines or the Filipinos.